All right. Hello, live stream people. I'm having some camera troubles, but we're just going to jump right in and we'll start the event here.
Is this working? Thank you. I'm Jack Cage. Most of you will not recognize me because I don't look very much like my graduation picture from high school, but time has a way of doing that to people. Welcome to all of you. When Dorothy and I were talking about the possibility of this reunion, I mentioned it to one of my friends, and I said it's going to be the 70th reunion. He said, well, who's going to come? You and one other guy? So thank you all for proving them wrong. I want to welcome all of you. It's so good to see all of you. Can I have a show of hands? I know there are some guests as well as classmates. Would the classmates all raise your hands, please? Okay, thank you so much. I'm going to start this. I recognize that for many of us, this is getting close to our afternoon nap time. So if any of you happen to fall asleep while I'm talking, I hope your neighbor will nudge you. I'm sure Dorothy will nudge me or worse. The first thing I want to talk about is safety. We've had a number of accidents among our group, starting with Dorothy Beasing Johnson, who broke her arm a year or so ago, falling on the ice. And then we had Marianne McNally Kirshner, who a few days ago tripped over something in her assisted living place, fell flat on her face, broke her nose. Not fun. She said she was going to try to come, but she hasn't made it yet. Another one, Francis Montalban, I don't know if you remember him, but he fell and broke an arm just a short time ago, so he couldn't come. And then the tumble of all tumbles, our friend Phil Conkey, this happened just a couple of nights ago. He was climbing up his steps and to go to bed. He got to the top of the steps and his bad knee gave way. He had no railing to hold on to. So he tumbled somersault all the way down the steps, broke a vertebrae in his neck, was in a lot of pain, so he couldn't come, he had to cancel. My message to all of us, please be careful. We're at the point where if we fall, something might break. So, as I say, that's my message, a sidelight. I'm going to go back just a little while to previous reunions, and I want to thank Milky, Tom Young, and Phil Conkey in his absence. They're the ones who carried the load year after year, time after time, to keep this reunion going. If they hadn't, we probably wouldn't be here. So, thank you. Let's see. We have one person, and Sean there is going to be providing some background music for us, but he happens to be the grandnephew of a classmate who is here in spirit but not in person. His name is Frank Mangold. And Frank is way out in California, but with the miracle of technology, Sean has been able to tie him into this meeting. And so he's going to be watching. And can we all say hello to Frank? Frank? Frank, can you hear us?
He can't talk back, but he's up in here.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, and Sean has come all the way from Ashland, Wisconsin to be our entertainment person for today. And thank you very much. I'm sure we'll enjoy hearing all the melodies that will be playing in the background. But, ready? Anyway, I want to welcome you to the Dorothy Beesing Johnson Memorial Celebration for summer this year. It's otherwise known as Memorial, I'm sorry.
I didn't die.
Well, you almost did with all the work you put into it. But anyway, it really is the Merrill High School Class of 1951 70th reunion. Thank you all for being here. And I'm going to talk for a little while. I went through some of my chemos and looked up some things that stood out to me. Some of these you remember. It may trigger some memories for some other things that you were highlights in your 4 years at Merrill High School. But starting on a bad note, you probably remember in July of 1947, part of our high school burned down. And that really caused a lot of consternation. We didn't know how we were going to carry on with freshmen, sophomore, junior, seniors, all the classes that we had to run. But our superintendent of schools, Charles Walden, was a genius in putting together something that was workable. He was able to use the existing facilities for just the classes. You probably recall that there was no space for homerooms, no space for study halls. What did we do? We all had to either go home or go somewhere else off the campus, except when we were going to a regular class. So you probably all remember what you did. I know that I walked home many times, wore out some shoes in the process. It was a long walk, but we got through it. And by the sophomore year, it was getting better. They were building a new building, and we could see the light at the end of the tunnel. But in the sophomore year, I noticed a couple of things that really stood out for me in the classes. The first one was the civics class. And I don't know if any of you remember civics. It had the potential of being a very, very boring class. But Miss Randall, who was the teacher, livened it up a little bit by a couple of what I'd call some kind of off-campus kinds of visits. And the first one, she took us to the Lincoln County Jail. That gave us the opportunity to each one be included or incarcerated in a jail cell. Fortunately for me, that's the only time in 70 plus years I've been in a jail cell. I hope that's true of all of you, and I'm sure it is. But it was not a good experience. I didn't like it one bit. The second field trip that she had, she took us to Lincoln County Courthouse. The court was not in session, but she described court proceedings to us and made it very realistic. And she reminded us that under the law, everyone who's accused of a crime is innocent unless proven guilty. And that's something that always stuck in my mind. Moving on to the junior year, well, I'll back up for a minute because one other thing happened in the sophomore year. If you remember Chuck Eckerly, he was the one that put the band together, 10 or 12 members of our class, and he would play at all the dances, usually after high school basketball games. And that's when I got the reputation as being the worst dancer in Merrill High School. I noticed, I could hear the girls whispering, if Jack is dancing, don't let him step on your feet. But we got through it, and I can still remember some of the songs that they played. They were called the Stardusters. And so they played Stardust and Deep Purple. Let's see, some of the others, the Tennessee Waltz, some of these that were so familiar in those days that probably you haven't heard for a while. But I enjoyed the music a lot. Some of you probably did too. Remember those days. The junior year was a musical year. We had the band, we had the orchestra, we had the mixed chorus, and we had the junior prom. I don't know how many of you remember back that far of the junior prom. My date happened to be Gracie Utek, who had just broken up with Herb Lau. And you probably remember they got together and got married and lived happily ever after. We double dated with John Newman and Joan Laughlin, but the theme was Some Enchanted Evening, some of the most beautiful music you'd ever want to hear from the movie South Pacific. I still remember that. It sometimes rings in my ears. The one notable class that we had in junior year was journalism. And a number of you will remember that I happened to be the only guy among 14 girls in the class. And the teacher was quite amused at that, but she made it work. And we all learned how to write. And we carried that over into our senior year, where we all became members of the Acme News staff. And we all wrote articles. And our own Dorothy Rasmussen became the editor. And she did a great job, and I'm sure she has some memories that she can share us, trying to fit everything in and trying to correct our grammar and our spelling and all the rest of it. But that was one of the, as we got to the senior year, we began to take some responsibility for things that we had to do as seniors that we hadn't had to do previously. One of the others was preparing the annual yearbook, which is, we call it the chemo. I don't know if any of you still have yours. I have mine. I still enjoy looking at it once in a while. And it's got some interesting messages from various classmates. Some were complimentary, some not so complimentary, but they're all fun. But Gloria Anderson and Ken Waldberger put the chemo together. Tom Eggers, you remember him, took all the pictures. And Sharon Nordstrom as assistant business manager, and I as chemo business manager had the job of putting together all the, or gathering up all the money so we could afford to publish it. But luckily, the Neuro Merchants were generous and we had enough money to do that. And so we got to have what I think is a pretty nice looking book. So the last thing that happened before graduation was the senior prom. And by that time, I was looking ahead. My date was Dorothy Beasing. And we doubled with Bill Compke and Mary Ann McNally. And I was going to say this is a minor miracle, but all four of us would be here. And wouldn't you know, 2 of the 4 are not here right now. Even though they had planned to be here. So my memories of the senior prom are very vague. If any of you want to chime in with your own memories, I appreciate that. Fill in the gap in my memory, but by that time, many of us were looking ahead to graduation and beyond. What are we going to do with the rest of our life? So I'm going to conclude with one incident that I thought was interesting, funny, embarrassing to some people. And well, here's what happened. You probably remember, those of you who lived right in Merrill, if we got the family car, we would go out cruising through the town and so on. And for the guys, if we were lucky, there'd be a couple of girls walking and we got to pick them up. Anyway, in this particular evening, one of our members who is here today happened to be driving her dad's car. And this one night, it was getting fairly dark, and they went down Kuczynski Street, and down at the end of the road, there was one car parked all by itself. And one of the girls said, "That looks like," and I'm going to pause for a minute. "Hi, Mary Ann, so glad you could come." I'll get a drink of water. Anyway, to continue the story, they got closer to this car and somebody said, "Well, it looks like Mr. Burns' car." And somebody said, "I'm sure it is. Maybe he's got car trouble." So they slowed down and drove up to the car. They looked in the window, and here was Mr. Burns kissing Miss Kale, another teacher. And So somebody said, hey, that's Mr. Byrne, don't let him see us. And somebody else said, hurry up, get out of here. And the way they sped, well, the end of the story is that John Byrne never did find out who the girls were in the car. And they came to the 60th reunion. He was an invited guest, and he asked around, who were those girls in the car that saw us that night? And nobody would admit it. So the driver of the car is here today. I don't know if she will want to identify herself now that John Byrne is no longer living. But in any case, Dorothy, you want to tell us the rest of the story?
Sure, I'll tell it. Well, you know how we used to be young and didn't know what to do with ourselves, so we'd get Dad's car and away we'd drive. We'd go down one street, down the next one, turn around and go back. Well, we decided to go up Center Street, and we went across where the Prairie River goes, and we made the first lap. Somebody said, here's Mr. Byrne's car. Well, I didn't know I knew who Mr. Byrne was, but I didn't know what car. But I think it was Gloria Anderson that recognized the car. And somebody said, do we have a flashlight? Do you have Yeah, I said, there's one in the back somewhere. And we just had a pile of girls in the car. And they flashed the light on him. Of course, you know, Mr. Byrne was he needed glasses, you know, he couldn't see much. And to this day, and he's passed away, he wanted to know who was the guilty party, and it was us. And I was shocked at the 60th when he was looking right at me, and I wasn't.
So every time he would walk down the hall and see some of the girls, he would wonder, were they in the car? Who saw me? That's the end of the story. That's the end of my story. Thank you very much for listening. If anybody has fallen asleep, it's time to wake up.
I'm going to make another admission too. When we were in Viola Holt's class, and that was the last class of the day, she asked the women to sign up to go to Stevens Point to this program that was called Why I Am a Woman. Wow. And so we signed up, and the boys were in the class, of course, too, and on one of the papers, I wrote Hector Goosebump. Well, Miss Holt just turned around and said, members of our class, we have a new woman, and her name is Hector Goosebump. Who did that? And she blamed Albert Seinke. And she blamed Bernice Ormstead and Marilyn Leak. And she looked at me, and I just couldn't tell the truth. I thought, what the heck did I write that on that piece of paper for? So I confess, because I know Ken Wahlberger at our banquet that year, he wanted to know who did it, and I would never confess, so now I confess. Oh, you have a clue. I'm bad. I have a good feeling.
Dorothy, you're in charge of the program. What comes next?
No.
Okay.
I just go back in history in 1950 and 1951 to think of some of our classmates. Someone that we chummed around with, walked to school, walked back to school, walked through the halls. It could have been a boy or a girl, or right now maybe a boy or a girl, who knows. Someone who we confided with all our high school secrets. So let's go back 70 years ago and think about that one person, or even a teacher, that was your best high school friend. Would anybody like to step up and say who that may be?
Okay. Sharon? Just a minute.
Hello, everyone. You all know me as Liz. Lizzie. Mary Ann. I didn't recognize you. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Anyway, my favorite teacher was Thor Arnebeck. Everybody liked his class, and I did too. I didn't learn anything because I didn't use it afterwards in my training. But he was so nice every time, and that I never got my assignment all done either.
I remember Thor Arnebeck too. He taught Latin, and talk about another language. I had never had any experience with another language, but he was good, and he brought early history going back to almost the time of Christ. It made the whole class interesting, and as I went through life, I found that the English language somewhat is based on some of the Latin words. And so I learned something I didn't know I was learning. Somebody else?
Anybody else want to step up? Okay, I got one here. And he was my best friend and my worst enemy. Dave Hanson. Remember Dave and Lucky? Well, we both lived in the bloody sixth ward, and we liked to fight. And we fought all the time, Dave and I, from age 5 to age 16. But one time we lived a half a block from each other. And we fought on Saturday afternoon in his backyard. And I think I got the best of him. So I started walking home, and then he picked up an axe and threw it hit me in the head. So that was Bucky. But he went to Jefferson School. I went to Trinity. We both went to senior high. We both played football, basketball, hockey. And if you remember, Dave Hanson got me kicked out of high school for a week. You remember that?
No.
Huh?
No. No.
Well, we had a habit of walking down the halls with our books right here.
Yeah.
And we had a habit of coming behind a person and knocking the books off right before he had to go to class. So it was late class, okay? Now, Bucky was walking up the hallway, I was behind him. And someone came behind him and hit his books all over the place. He thought I did it, and he started fighting with me, fist fighting. And guess who tried to break it up? Master Creeball. She stepped in, and either me or Bucky got to go up right and hit. Yes. Well, we both got expelled for a week. So the week that we expelled, we played pool up at our school. So Bucky, I went after high school. I went in the Navy for 4 years. Bucky Hanson followed, and he retired. I think he passed away in California, but he was married to Viv Ritchie. Your friend, is that still right?
He called me to make sure that I give her regards today.
Give
She
her,
couldn't come.
give her my best.
She was in an accident and had her one leg cut off, just below the face, so she is traveling.
I have one other story. I can tell it tonight because the person who's involved is not here. She was supposed to be here, and I wasn't going to tell this story. But I either was a junior in high school, and this young lady sat next to me, Barbara Zemke. And I finally got enough courage to ask her out for a date. And she lived off in Corny or someplace, way up in the country. So I had my dad's car, went out there, and I started walking towards the house. And a big dog came out and licked me in the leg. tore my pants off, landed my leg. I walked back to the car and went to my dad's drugstore, and I ended up in the hospital for a while. That's the last time I took empty on the day. But she was supposed to be here tonight, and what happened to her?
So people,
I don't know about it, they were going to come, and then she called, she fell, and, has a big cut on her head, I guess. And, she said it was pretty painful, so she figured she better not come out, so hate to see her, I would sit there until I come and her and her husband both, but doesn't always work out that way. We had a lot of cancellations, so people were falling. But I guess we're in that age. Anybody else? Does anybody remember Charlotte Thomas? Huh? Nobody? She started out as our class, but I don't know whatever happened to her. Charlotte Thomas. I think she was from our Irma area, but don't know who it is.
I remember Charlotte.
Do you?
Donated our junior year. But I don't know what happened.
Oh.
I've never heard from her.
Did they move out of town? I thought she.
She must have moved, because she worked at the East Side Forum, and she's the one that, put my bridal bouquet together.
Yeah.
That was the last time I saw Charlotte.
Yeah.
I'm going to talk about two things that secondly will be my favorite teacher. But the first one is Tom Young. I don't know if you remember, but Tom was the best athlete we had in our entire senior class. There wasn't a single sport that he could take up that he wouldn't be the expert at. The rest of us would just marvel. I was writing sports for the Merrill Daily Herald at the time, and I still remember one article I wrote where he scored 26 points in basketball, and he was the star of the game. But Tom, after all this time, congratulations on all your accomplishments in sports. And okay, my favorite teacher happened to be John Byrne. And I never heard this story until much later about the girls in the car. But he was the advisor for the Acme News and for the chemo, and he was always there when we needed him, but he gave us a free hand. So we could use what we had learned without having him second guess us. And I appreciated that. It was better than having him leaning over our shoulder all the time, everything we were doing. So he was a good guy to work with and good guy to work for. And he was also a good English teacher, I might add. Anybody?
I have one crazy story, and I don't think too many know it. Remember Harlan? From, I think it was Harlan, was it? From, used to, oh, notorious. Oh, anyway, when the fellows, and when I was coming down the steps after the graduation, not the graduation party, but the homecoming parties, and I stumbled and fell because I'm wearing high heels, and I broke the heel off and hooped down the hall, but Carl Harrod. So he helped me to get up. And I said, Harlan, don't you ever tell this to anybody. But I guess he did. Rolling Harlan. And I said, oh, he said, I won't tell anybody if I can bring a six-pack over to your house or your job and I can watch. We didn't have TV then to listen to the baseball game. And that's my story.
Did he come over with a six-pack?
Sure.
Yeah.
How about that? My dad's right there with him.
I'm not your
You got something else? I've got something after you.
I sent around, some pictures of our classes. Council Union, 25th. What I like to do is, have you think of one or two classmates that you will just say their name in recognition that we recognize our classmates who are not here because of their physical capability who may have passed away. So I'm thinking of Gracie Utek. I'm thinking of John Sawitsky, Bob Griffey,
I've got several.
Bob Lightfletcher, a couple of others. So if you think about one or two of our classmates, just speak up.
I want to tell you something. I have been looking for this woman for months. She called me yesterday, Bernice Armstead. I thought she was a living dead. I couldn't believe it. And she was telling me she went to a grocery store and she ran into Bob Lightfletcher's son that was working in the store. And apparently she didn't even know Bob had died. And he told her, yeah, he said, my dad died a long time ago. But I just couldn't believe Bernice. I said, you know what? I have been looking you for months and I've called you many times. And I said, I know you're in Wisconsin. You know what she told me where she's been? In Norway. She's got all kinds of relatives there. She's been up and down the country. She's got relatives everywhere. And you know, she was an only child. And she told me, you know, I was the oldest one in the class and didn't want to admit it to anybody. She said, how old are you? And I said, you know what? I'm in the 80s. And that's as far. When I get to be 100, I'll tell you.
So you don't need no mic, just say a name from our classmate. Anybody who wants to speak up.
Dale Strasburg. Okay. He's around. The ones that come to mind right away are the ones that I worked with on the chemo. Gloria Anderson, Kim Wahlberger, and Tom Eggers. And of course, sitting right next to me, Sharon Nordstrom. So, in addition, it was very nice to work with Dorothy Rasmussen on the chemo, primarily on the Acme News. And I'm hoping she'll tell us some of her experiences on that if her voice has come back. And after that, I'd like to tell you just a little bit about my memories of Merrill, Wisconsin. Somebody else?
Now, this was my mother's hometown. And we lived in Iowa for quite a few years. But we always came to Merrill every summer. And I loved Merrill. So when Mom and Dad decided that they were going to move, they let me choose where we're going to move. Do you want to go to Cedar Rapids? Do you want to stay here in Anamosa? Or do you want to go to Merrill? I said, Merrill! So that's how I ended up here. And I always loved this town. Always.
I don't need the mic.
Okay.
I mentioned Dale Strasburg because he was my best buddy while I went to the 2 years that I went to Merrill. And right now, he's not in the best of health, but we still stayed together. As a matter of fact, he was my best man many years ago.
Oh,
We still keep in touch.
what a nice story.
His wife was a good friend of my wife. We had hoped he'd come today, but he's not.
Well, we heard from several classmates who really wanted to come, but just weren't able. And that's a disappointment, but,
Let's have Mary Ann tell us about what happened to her. Rescind the mic.
I don't need a mic either. I'm
Well, speak
low.
up.
I wasn't coming because I fell and broke my nose. And I'm all black and blue.
But you're still beautiful.
That's my caregiver.
Introduce yourself. You do.
Anybody else who want to recognize a girlfriend or boyfriend from high school that they dated?
Oh,
Tell this one about that one over there.
I don't know.
I finally figured out who you are. You're real Horse, right?
Yeah.
And you don't have a crush on you forever? And she couldn't wait till you got here.
Right.
can you pass the mic and let everybody introduce themselves?
You'll give it to her. Pass the mic to everybody.
Okay, here we go, blabbermouth again. Sharon Lizzie Nordstrom. I did lab and x-ray for over 28 years in Menominee. And I have to tell you one more thing. Everybody knows this, but I don't think you do. I'm 88 years old, but I'm still looking for a man. I'll never give up.
You said you wouldn't say that.
That's my caregiver. She won't leave me alone.
Any chance you can move those flowers over to the far end or something so we can see your face when you're talking? They're blocking the view.
Right.
I wanted to thank Phil. These people brought this for our reunion, and I haven't had a chance to mention that because we weren't on that.
They're beautiful, but it would be easier to hear and see you if they were over at the far end of the table.
Yeah, no.
Okay, she can move.
Like,
Go ahead, you're in the game.
Well, when I went to school, high school, I wanted to take bookkeeping. But as to my luck or whatever, that was filled up. So I took typing, which not very many men take in high school. And there was only two of us. Who was that? I think the other one was Francis Monbon. And so it turned out when I went to the army, and there must have been 200 guys lined up outside and for roll call, I suppose. And the head guy asked, can anybody type? I looked around and didn't see any hands. I took mine up there, so I got the job right away. That's my big story.
I don't know if you want to hear everything that I've done.
Just your name.
Okay, I'm Neil Alkivers. Good friend of Lawrence here. Anyway, I started out at Gleason High School closed it right after that. Then I went 2 years to Merrill. And then I left. My folks moved to Kenosha, and that's where I ended up. But as far as I was concerned, Merrill was my school. And when I was able to attend your class reunions here, you couldn't have been more prouder than me, because I was happy. And I've made everyone I could since we've been up here. We moved back in 78. So anything that before that. But one thing I remember when I was here, and I think I was a junior, I was in choir, and I also took metal shop. Well, I decided I wanted to take trigonometry. But to do that, I had to quit metal shop, that was no problem, and quit the choir. But I didn't know I had such a good voice, and I argued with the teacher, and I finally got it bad enough, so she let me quit. And I took trigonometry. Beautiful. Over the years, I worked in sheet metal, and I love to sing, but I don't know a damn thing about trigonometry. That's my main story from school.
Bill Horch. My other story would be, my favorite teacher was Bible. Which made me surprised also. Vi was a rather straight-laced lady. The other thing was, Vi lived in the same apartment building as we did. And after I got out of school, 3 years in the Navy and then 5 years in Madison, whenever I'd come home, I'd go down and visit Miss Holt. She said, call me Vi, and smoke cigarettes and drink beer with her. She's a good lady.
I'm Sharon Erickson from Rare Mountain, and I'm Mary Ann's driver. I can't walk, but I can drive, so sorry she's late because she let me shop at Johnson's. I'm Mary Ann Vignelli Kirschner, and I'm glad to be here. I want to thank the committee for organizing this. And at our 65th, we said we weren't gonna have any more.
We lied.
You did. I'm happy to be here. I didn't think I was coming, but I'm happy to be here.
Kathy Schultz Grueling. And also I'd like to thank the committee. It's a wonderful job, beautiful, and I'm enjoying all the stories. And it's a good way to reunite us again. Okay, and I brought my driver. I'll let her introduce herself.
Well, I'm crashing this party. I'm from a better class of 1952. So we're 69 years. And I was happy to come when Abby asked me. I said, yeah, I know more of the kids from class of 1951 than 1952 probably. And I do want to share one memory that I have since I heard her name mentioned, and it's Miss Kriegel. She never liked the girls as much as she did the boys in her class. There were a few boys, and I think Tom Young probably was in her class. I had 1 year of bookkeeping. Well, when I graduated, Ward paper had an ad in the Daily Herald. They were looking for a bookkeeper. And so this was just about a week before graduation. I took that ad to Miss Kriegel and I told her that if she could write a little note of recommendation for me, I was gonna go apply for the job. And she said to me, you don't have to go and apply for that job, you'll never get it. I thought, years later, I thought, that was really crappy of her. Well, guess what? I went to apply for the job and I got it. So I'm happy to be here with the class of 1951. Joanne Waller, you can.
Dorothy Rasmussen Frank. I guess the teacher that I had most classes with was John Byrne. For freshman English and for junior English and then for publications when I was a senior. Mrs. Tronto is one of my favorite teachers. Didn't you hear that? No? Mrs. Tronto, I said, is one of my favorite teachers. And Donna Roosh was one of my best friends. And I expected to see her here today, but she's ill, I'm told, and isn't going to be here. And I keep in touch with her every year, we write. And Mary Ann McNally is another of my classmates that I correspond with at least at Christmas every year. So many people I have just totally lost track. But I'm so happy to be here, and I'm so happy that you all thought it was a good thing to do.
I'm Harlan Lexico. This is my wife Judy, and we live in St. Paul. Well, it's a long story. I was on the farm for 2 years, and I went 4 years in the Navy. Then I worked at S&M. Then I went to the railroad mail. My place was St. Paul, Minnesota. I worked there for 42 years. And I went to work for the Red Cross for 6 years. And I retired when I was 70, and I'm tired of working. That's it.
Most of you don't know me, but I know quite a few of you. I spent part of my summer in Las Vegas. I had moved there once before and decided I needed to come back to Merrill. But I went back and now I know I belong in Merrill. No more Las Vegas.
I live along Milky, along by it, but it was, yeah, I guess everybody's getting ready to eat, so I'll pass it on.
So I'm Tom, and I spent 4 years in the Navy, came back to Merrill and got a job as a clerk at Church Mutual Insurance Company. At that time, I took quite a few courses through University of Wisconsin Extension, taxation, financial accounting. I finally got a job at Church Mutual as treasurer, and I worked my way up to become executive vice president of Church Mutual. I have a cottage up in northern Wisconsin. I spend every weekend up there. And in the winter time, I go down to Florida for 3 months and come back here. And last year I could not golf in Florida because I had something wrong with my hip. But I will say I golfed out here last Wednesday for 19 holes. And it looks like I'll be golfing every Wednesday again. Thank you. One more thing, we have to thank Dorothy and Schmitty for this reunion. And I asked them if they would do this another 10 years. Anyway, if you can stand up or not stand up. This is the final toast to ourselves. Third one. Thank you.
John Burns' name has come up several times today. My daughter went to Stevens Point, and she had John Byrne at the college.
I'm gonna add one more John Burns story, and I think it's sort of a sad one. He did marry Elaine McHale, and he says it was a wonderful marriage, but the school board in Merrill had a rule that husband and wife could not teach in the same school. So they had to leave Merrill, and Merrill lost two good teachers because of that rule. I personally would have spoken against it if I had known about it. But it just, that's history. That's what happened. Should we start?
Okay, everybody just bow your heads for a moment. We honor your presence. We also remember our lost friends and class members of 1951. These are recorded on the wallboard for you to read. Some we could not locate, wondering are they still with us. We share blessings to you this great day for this splendid meal, and we are about to receive. Bow our heads in prayer. Come, Lord Jesus, be our guest, and let this food to us be blessed. Oh, give thanks unto the Lord, for he is good, and his mercy endureth forever. So glad you have shared this day. Thanks to Sean Van Zeeland. Music to share, a token free of charge from Frank Mangold in Sacramento, California, who is unable to attend. But here you are. Now, I was at a convention a couple weeks ago, and I caught a very bad cold the week after. This is the prayer we had in Lexington, Kentucky, for a Saturday night prayer. We pause to give thanks for the blessing of this meal. May the food and our conversation celebrate God's goodness and inspire us to greater service. We thank you, Lord, for gathering us here to share this day and this meal. We are grateful for the times with our Lutheran Women's Missionary League sisters, for fond memories and for the food that has been prepared for us. Keep us mindful of those less fortunate than we, and help us to find ways to share your love. Bless us in these gifts and fill us with the gratitude and love as we celebrate in your name. Amen.
No more phone calls, I promise.
Sean, anytime you can play some of your beautiful
All right.
40s music.
I didn't want to jump in on you, but right on.
But we want you to come and eat too.
Okay.
Hold me close and hold me fast. The magic spell you cast, the This is the unrolled. When you kiss me inside, and I close my eyes, I see the unrolled. When you hold me, your heart will the world apart, a world where roses bloom. And when you speak, angels sing from above. Every word seems to turn into love song. Give your heart and soul to me, and life will always be love and roll. Hold me close and hold me tight. The magic spell you cast. This is the unrolled. When you kiss me inside, even though I close my eyes, I see the unrolled. When you kiss your heart, waves apart, the world where roses bloom. And when you speak, angels sing from above. Everyday words seem to turn into love song. Give your heart and soul to me, and life will always be love and roll.
No, over here? No. No? Okay.
You so young, you make me feel that spring is sprung. And every time I see you grin, I'm such a happy individual. The moment that you speak, I wanna go play hide and seek. I wanna go in my balloon, just like a toy balloon. You and I thought just like a couple of times, running across the meadow, picking up lots of forget-me-nots. I hear the train coming, it's rolling around the bend. I ain't seen the sunshine, I don't know when, but I'm stuck in Folsom Prison, and time keeps dragging on. And the train keeps rolling down the San When I was just a young boy, my mama told me, son, always be a good boy, don't you ever play with guns. But I shot a man in Reno just to watch him die. Now I hear that whistle blowing, and I hang my head and cry. Well, I bet there's rich folks eating in that fancy dining car, probably drinking coffee and smoking big cigars. But I know I had it coming, I know I can't be free. But that whistle keeps blowing, and that's what tortures me. If they freed me from this prison, that railroad train was mine. You know I'd move it on a little farther down the line. Far from prison is where I want to be. And I'd let that whistle blow my blues away. I'm sure y'all are familiar with that too. But got a few fun songs for you here. This next one is Carl Perkins tune that was popularized by a few people, but I'm positive we recognize that as well. It's a very fun song. It's about a pair of shoes. Well, it's 1 for the money, 2 for the show, 3 to get ready. Now go, cat, go, and don't you step on my blue suede shoe. You can do anything, lay off my blue suede shoe. I think it sounds better in a different key, though, I'll tell you that for sure. How about this? Well, it's 1 for the money, 2 for the show, 3 to get ready. Now go, cat, go, and don't you step on my blue suede shoe. You can do anything, but lay off my blue suede shoe. Knock me down, step in my face, say to my name, no place. Do anything that you want to do, but oh, honey, lay off my shoes and don't you step on my blue suede shoe. You can do anything, but lay off my blue suede shoe. out, steal my car, my liquor, no job. Do anything that you want to do, but oh, honey, lay off my shoes and don't you step on my blue suede shoe. You can do anything but lay off my blue suede shoe. You can do anything but lay off my blue suede. One for the money, two for the show. Get ready now, go, go, and don't you step on my blue suede shoe. You can do anything but lay off of my blue suede shoe. Alright, blue suede shoes, golfer. I'm not exactly sure who wrote it, but it's kind of fun to play. You have a pretty good time listening to it. You saw me standing alone, without a dream in my heart, without a love of my own. You know what I was really there for. You saw me say a prayer for someone I really care for. Suddenly appeared for me, the only one my heart could ever hold. Heard somebody whisper, "You're me," and I looked, the room turned to gold. Now I'm no longer alone, without a dream in my heart, without a love of my own. Saw me standing alone, without a dream in my heart, without a love of my own. Came with a big old piano set up in front of me. I'm finding guitar kind of fits the event a little better, so I'm just gonna keep rocking with that. This is not a 40s tune, but gratitude and I'm sure you love it as well. It's a June Croce song from oh, I didn't remember when it came out, but it was a very good song called You Don't Mess Around. Uptown got its hustler, Bowery got its funk. 42nd Street got Big Jim walking, boom shooting son of a gun. Really big and dumb as a man can come, but it's stronger than a country home. And when the black folks all get together at night, you know they all call Big Jim Bum just because. They say you don't tug on Superman's cape, you don't speed into the wind, you don't pull the mask off with no ways, and you don't mess around with you. You got to be. Well, I'm a South Alabama, come a country boy. He said, I'm looking for a man named Jim. I am a cool shooting boy, my name is Billy McCoy. Back home and call me Slim. Well, I'm looking for the king of 42nd Street, driving a drop-top Cadillac. Last week he took all my money and it made some fun, but I'm gonna get my money back. Everybody said, Jack, don't you know, you don't tug on Superman's feet, you don't speed into the wind, you don't pull the mask off with no low major, and you don't mess around with you. You come riding in off the street, and when the cutting was done, the only walking for the bloody was the soles of the big man's feet. He was cutting about 100 places, he was shot in a couple of walls, good Lord. And you better believe it's some different kind of story, makes you hit the floor. They don't tug on Superman's feet, you don't speed into the wind, you don't pull the mask off with no long fingers, and you don't mess around with sun. You don't tug on Superman's feet, you don't speed into the wind, you don't pull the mask off with no long fingers, and you don't mess around with sun. Start getting into upper this, trying to run around downtown, fight people with cars and stuff. I don't know how I got into that. You don't tug on Superman's cape, you don't speed into the wind, you don't pull the mask off for no major, and you don't mess around
With my first home time, I feel this.
Try and blow that up.
24, and I said, okay, I'll your pants. Oh my God. You know, I was wondering anybody. Yes.
Go lay down my sword and shield down by the riverside, down by the riverside, down by the riverside. I'm gonna lay down my sword and shield down by the riverside. Go study war no more. I ain't gonna study war no more. Ain't gonna study war no more. Ain't gonna study war no more. I ain't gonna study war no more. Ain't gonna study war no more. Ain't gonna study war no more. My burden down by the riverside, down by the riverside, down by the riverside. I'm gonna lay down My birdie down by the riverside, and study war no more. I ain't gonna study war no more. Ain't gonna study war no more. Ain't gonna study war no more. I ain't gonna study war no more. Ain't gonna study war no more. Ain't gonna study war no
Maybe you could take a couple around. Take
drive around my brand new Subaru down by the riverside. Down by the riverside, down by the riverside, I'm gonna drive up in my Ford F-150. Down by the riverside, don't study war no more. I ain't gonna study war no more. Ain't gonna study war no more. Ain't gonna study war no more. I ain't gonna study war no more. Ain't gonna study war no more. Ain't gonna study war no more.
Alright, the next one, another kind of later tune. It's 79 was the year, but it'd be kind of fun to think, what were you doing in 79? I don't know what I was doing in 79, I'll tell you that. But this is a tune by John Klein. He's a beloved guy in my heart, and I know a lot of my family as well.
Was a level-headed dancer on the road to alcohol. I was just a soldier on my way to Montreal. Pressed your chest against me about the time the jukebox broke. Gave you a peck on the back of the neck. Blow up the TV. Throw away your paper. Build you home. And a little garden. Eat a lot of peaches. Try to find out on your own. I was young and hungry and about to leave that place. Me in the face said you might know the answer. I said no, but I give it a try. Ooh, today they didn't do it already. These are the reasons why we blew up the TV, threw away our paper, moved to the country, built us a home, had a lot of children, got on my birthday cake, on the
Sorry, cut that one short. I just got handed a slice of fruit. Like it's not birthday, but he's 73 in cake, so thank you for that.
They got smart coffee card.
Oh, I'll eat yeah. So this next one, Hank Williams. You know, I'm on a kick now in G major. So
A lot of frosting, a little frosting.
Major too, Hank Williams. I couldn't tell you who you're either, but.
I got a little frosty.
Goodbye, Joe. We got a good on your mind. We got go zero down the line. Lying on the sweetest one, your mind. Son of a gun, we left it fun on the fire. Jambalaya, crawfish pie, they come home. Come tonight, I'm gonna sing my share of you. Guitar, don't feel the jar and son of a gun, we like it fun on fire.
down by the dozen. Dress in style, go hog wild, you my go. Son of a gun, we'll have big fun on the fire. Jambalaya and crawfish pie, filet gumbo. Cause tonight I'm gonna sort my share. Pick guitar, guitar, and feel. Son of a gun, we'll have big fun on the swap my mind. Give me a hero. Then I'll catch all of the fish down on the bayou. Swap my mind to buy Yvonne and what she needs. So, son of a gun, we'll have big fun on the bayou. Jambalaya and a crawfish pie, filet gumbo. Cause tonight I'm gonna sing my share of meal. Pick guitar, fill fruit jar, and the deal. Son of a gun, we'll have big fun on the bayou. Jambalaya and a crawfish pie, filet gumbo. Cause tonight I'm gonna sing my share of meal. Pick guitar, fill fruit jar, and the deal. Son of a gun, we'll have big fun on the bayou.
Oh, yeah, you did walk away with your cake. One for this. Are they okay?
Gotta take a little guitar break here to get back to some piano. I work on a farm up in Ashland, Wisconsin, so 2.5 hours north of here, and we've been weeding carrots for the past 2 weeks, so my fingers are getting a little tired. So piano's a little lower impact, you know. So this is a lovely tune. It's had a year on it again, but it's really Armstrong. You know this as well.
I'll give you a little mocha cake. Oh, sure.
We have some.
Oh, okay.
Anybody for coffee here? played with Gus Stang and
Red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see the skies of blue and clouds of white, bright blessed day, dark sacred night, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, pretty in the sky, also on the faces of the people walking by. I see friends shaking hands, saying how do you do. They're really saying I love you. I hear skies of blue and clouds of white, feeling much more than I ever know. I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Yes, I think to myself, what a wonderful world.
Where are they? It's like pulling teeth to try and get them. It's supposed to be me and Nick. So, what do they need? I'm gonna really appreciate
Just color is in the way, so pretty in the sky, also on the faces of the people going by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? Let me say, I love you. I hear babies cry, I watch them grow, they'll learn much more I ever know, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Yes, I think to myself,
No.
what a wonderful
Where
world.
do you live? Oh.
That guy signed it.
I never thought of that. I got mine too.
There you go.
Well, thank God for listening here. I'm gonna play something that I've been excited about for a while. Actually, I started piano as a classical pianist, and I never really get to play this stuff before. So I was really looking forward to playing a couple Chopin duos. I think that might be a nice time to sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
There you go. I said with love.
Really? Well, wonderful. Well, my husband was transferred out there to Iron Mountain in 73. So we've been there a long time, and he died about 7.5 years ago. And I moved into senior living and had my own apartment. But 3 months ago, I moved to the assisted living because I kept walking. So wait. Well, two of my kids are there.
Now you got something to
My son and my daughter. The other 3 are gone. One lives in Madison. One lives in Ann Arbor. And one lives in Lake Zurich, Illinois, near Chicago.
Never mind.
Take care. Say hello back to Richie for me. Say hello to Bill.
I still long. I brought it with me because I thought Bill would be there.
I'll just say hello. Stay well. God bless. God bless. Well, I thought, I know that. Yeah, I'm coming.
Wishing you all good again. For those of you that don't know, Shirley had a sister yesterday. So Shirley had a birthday yesterday. And on top of that, I did too. No, I managed today. So consequently, I want to thank you all coming to our birthday party. Okay, here we go. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Shirley and Neil. Happy birthday to you. Thank you very much. I'll tell you what, how old we are. I hate to admit it, but she is one day older than me. And if we would have been in the hospital at that time, which I don't believe I was, we'd have been roommates. But we won't tell about the games we played. I was going to get that in before she left.
Have a safe trip, wherever you go.
That's my best friend.
Listen, we haven't finished here because I know that we've had, quite a few of our members that have passed. I do have it on the board someplace, I forgot, right up there. And Sharon is gonna read the ones that have passed within the last several years.
I can only read what Dorothy wrote for me. And these are some of the class people. Marilyn Emmett Anderson. Anderson. Shirley Kunkel. I remember her. Dr. Fern Cottrell, yes, she was really quite a nice lady. Elzilla Pepke and Jean Borchert Zastro. Those were the ones that are in memory. And there are several others, but those are the most recent ones. Some were unable to attend that she had gotten a hold of, and that was Ronald Folk, Carl Kepner, let's see, who else is on here? Paul Brees, Beverly K. Ketcher, Gordon Cooey.
Gordon Cooey cannot find him anywhere. Does anybody know or has to know?
Adeline Waller. And those that were unable to attend. You talked to these people, didn't you?
Yes.
Well,
No, somebody couldn't. Here, you can give it back to me and I'll tell.
I can't read the writing.
Okay, the people that have been unable to locate was Ronald Funk, Carl Koprek, Paul Reese, Beverly Knapp, Ketzelman, Gordon Cooey, Dolores Wetland, Walter Paul, Dale Strassman. There was a Pfister, Dennis Pfister, and unable to attend was Lenore Hopperman. She has a fractured neck and has to be in a special wheelchair. And let me tell you something. The city bus service does not work Saturday and Sunday, and I think we should stand up and say, listen, we have to have a bus service on the weekend. You got 5 buses sitting there in your station. Dorothy Reynolds Martin is in assisted living. She's had 2 strokes. June Kleinschmidt Catlin is in Pinecrest and did not want to come. Alberta Kupolo Dieter, she said she doesn't drive. Harold Fox is very sickly. And Frank Mangold, we've talked 3-4 times. And Herb Rogers, he's had a stroke and he's in a assisted living in Newport Beach, California. Of course, we know the other people that have either fallen or hurt themselves. Okay, does anybody else want to talk?
If I could, a minute, Mary Ann just gave me a guest note to fill out, and she had her maiden name on it, so of course I put my maiden name also. And I'm Karen Carvis Harrison from Michigan, class of 1958. But I don't know, everybody watching the news these days, I don't know if you're aware that President Biden was going to meet Boris Johnson over in Cornwall. And he was trying to get to St. Michael Mount, and due to the tide and everything, and mist and drizzle together, they could not do that. So they ended up meeting at Carvis Bay at the Carvis Hotel. And that's where my great-grandfather came from when he came to Iron Mountain. So that was my family's ancestry that the president was just at a couple of weeks ago. Great. So.
If I could have your attention for a minute, I'd like to propose a moment of silence in memory of all of those who have gone before us who can't be here today. Thank you very much.
We're gonna play a game.
Has everybody got their pencils and their papers and? And the game is that the one that gets the first answer right gets a bag of peanuts. And don't say you're allergic to peanuts, please. Otherwise, I forgot something.
Okay, you can turn your paper over if you got it. Okay, anybody that's got the answer to the first one.
Okay. Who graduated at the top of the class?
Ruth Cottrell and Jonah Watson. They were.
You're right.
They was the whole building for you.
Ken Mulberry wasn't.
20 games. Sorry, but I don't know anything. They give us a bag of peanuts. Can you repeat who those people were?
Ron Green was Carlin Sanders, and the king was Buddy Anderson.
No, somewhere got lost.
Didn't know anybody.
Sure.
I would like. Oh, was it? What it was?
That's from
Billboard.
Oh, that's what I thought what he said, but
When the state takes it so long.
Buddy Anderson. That's right.
We're on number 4.
Oh, there he is.
Nobody
Did you get a
answered.
paper? What is number 4?
scholarship. And
We answer all
What
the
answer scholarship people?
other ones.
You mean you don't know? He's been doing all the talking.
Jack.
Yeah. Number 5, who became a pastor?
Buddy Anderson.
Okay, we'll give you one. Who became a doctor? Okay, pass that down to her. Who is Mr. Burns? What was his official title? The Kathy just said. He dated all of these. Yeah.
That doesn't count.
Wow. Look, he was professor. He was the head of what?
English.
Who did he marry? Mr. Burns.
Mrs. Burns.
Good job.
What teacher came from Lake Ripley? I've heard this every day of my life. It's a beautiful lake because I searched it out in my life. It's beautiful.
Mrs. Toronto.
No,
Where's Lake River?
it's down by Cambridge, Wisconsin. A beautiful lake. Oh, don't you remember my old boat? That's all I talked about. My old boat.
my hair problems.
How many twins were there in our class?
Three. Oh, three sets.
Lots of pictures.
Oh, and Becky's too? What about the Besses? The Borkers? Was there a fourth one?
I don't know.
Birthday.
I thought there were only two.
The Borkers were twins over there. They were all just one family, weren't they?
Were the Maus, Ruben and Audrey, were they twins?
How big was your guys' class?
Well, Pepki's and Kanakis and who's the other one?
Was it a portrait? The vice two.
Kanaki girls and the bus boys and then, there's a Kanaki girls.
Who gets a penis? I got lots more over there.
Whoever doesn't get any.
Okay, let's see. Oh, I forgot, if you guys would rather have a football than peanuts. Who would like football? I got all these.
How many
footballs.
sets of twins were there, ma'am?
I think there are 3 sets.
Three.
Tom, this is quite a collection.
Yeah. Pretty good. 7 years, 10 years.
Copy.
Hey, John, no, Jack, notice I never changed that picture.
See, Frank, I hope you're not getting tired of us. We sure miss you. And we sure love your nephew.
Tom, are you German? Are you German?
Oh, yeah, awesome.
Okay, you know what they say about us Germans. We get so soon old and so late smart.
See, Marianne says she can't hear us.
You're not using your microphone.
I was telling Tom about us Germans. We get so soon old and so late smart.
What was the last one?
Which one?
This is when they were-
Oh, yeah.
Who said many times, big business is bad business?
What was that?
I don't know, I didn't hear that one.
I heard that every single day of my life. Viola Holt,
Well, Holmes said that?
all the time.
She was
Viola.
a liberal.
That's all the questions ladies need to get, that's their football.
Dorothy, you have any more questions? That's it?
No, you answered them so quick.
Let's go over again, see if we remember.
Hey, would you like to get nuts or would you like whatever?
I can't hear
Bad.
They never came back.
No. Oh, God.
Give that.
I was trying to learn a new way to play that. We're not. This is I heard some people talking about their ancestry back there, and I don't know, like you may know, I am Frank's grandnephew, and his mother came over from. Well, I know she lived in Ireland for a while and in Scotland, and she was actually from Ireland, and I've been learning a lot of traditional things from that area recently. Let's play the over 4-year-old. Not too many, but this is one called Big Shamor. It may be the oldest tune I know. It refers to the mountains and hills of Ireland, and kind of means so big, so little. It's just how they're so big and so little at the same time.
Your dinner.
Oh yeah, I'll heat it up again.
Somebody else. You're like my son.
If you miss the train I'm on, you will know when I am gone. You will hear the whistle blow 100 miles. 100 miles, 100 miles. 100 miles, 100 miles. You will hear the whistle blow 100 miles.
Where's your name tag?
What's that?
This is under his chair over there.
Your name is
Lord, I'm 500 miles
Howard.
from my home. 500 miles.
Oh, daughter.
500 miles. 500 miles.
I'm glad I've got my friend.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
There's lots. That's you.
When I go home, some old girl alone. My hair and still my comb, but that's alright if I go home. She's pretty, she's better than she's hard to wonder, tell me who is she.
Yeah, that's a lot.
The rain and the hail come
'em high and snow comes shoveling from the sky. She's as nice as apple pie, she'll get her own that by and by. When she gets a lad of her own, she won't tell her mom when she comes home. Let them all come as they will, Frank May won't she live still. Tell me, Mom, when I go home, the boys won't leave the girls alone. My hair and stole my comb, but that's alright till I go home. She's handsome, she is pretty, she's a belle fashion. She's smart, no one can beat. She tell me who is she. He says he loves her, now the boys they're fighting for. They're knocking on the doors, they're ringing on the bell, saying, oh my true love, are you out? Here she comes, as white as snow, rings on her fingers and bells on her toes. Oh, Jenny Murphy says she died, she's the fellow with a robe and Tell me, Mom, when I go home, the boys won't leave the girls alone. They hold my hair and stole my comb, but that's alright till I go home. She's handsome, she is pretty, she's a belle fashion. She's smart, no one can beat. Would you tell me who is she? She's handsome, she's pretty, she's a belle fashion. She's smart, no one can beat. Would you tell me who is she? Alright, tell me mine. We're gonna branch out a little bit. I've been playing a lot of covers today. Actually, this is the first show that I've played for a cover that in a long time. I think I do a solid hour and a half songs. So I'm gonna branch out and give some information and see how y'all dig it. This is a tune called Old Red Dog. Real talk. Don't you always see me standing at your side? Don't you tell me nothing, don't you talk about your eyes? Now you sit there smiling, making faces at the sun.
I might try,
I love to see you in the young bright day. I love to see you come along for happy I just sit there smiling, making faces at the oh, that God, I see you standing at your side. And you tell me about the time you thought you lost your eyes. 50 hours for next I sit there smiling, making faces at the God uses the radio to even let them ride. He's the best thing that you're ever gonna need. That many faces watching over all of me. I don't see you standing at your side. Won't you tell me about the time how we lost your eyes? I used to just smile and make your face at the sun.
I don't like to have one thing on. Joanne Waller. Oh, yeah. Every Monday morning and go to town and attend high school and then come back. And where? And then I roomed in.
Owl and Murdoch, that was the original. After seeing Owl on Ashley Murdoch, it's kind of crazy. Oh.
You got your socks, and I also remember my
Otherwise, I barely meet myself. I really didn't want to go to that convention. I got really sick. I said, give me 24 hours. So then I went down and stayed until so cold down. You know, here's the letter. Here's the letter. Here, read this letter. He said a nice letter. He was there. You know, people. Yeah, you do a good job.
It's going up next week.
Very nice. And
Check
it's
out
good.
the
It is. I got this. They're having to put it you know, I go to somebody.
Oh, thank
Did you want to take a piece of cake to Lenore? Oh, I could.
So this is another original from the album that I've got hanging out over here. If anyone's interested, it's called Peaches in Winter. Peaches in Winter is the tune. And my grandpa, actually, Louis Mangold, has until like 2 years ago, he had a peach tree in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Can you believe that? Pretty good. Peaches. But this one's called Peaches in Winter.
previous.
He didn't sell them, but he had a peach tree. And
Oh, my
young
God.
I've never seen a peach tree.
When you're down here, it's under.
The song about peaches.
Hey, Greg,
Turtles of action.
we love your nephew. We're been having fun.
How did that come from the sea? The sky was still in sorrow. Trickled down the drain of the rain. Clouds are crying for friends. Miracles take root in the pain. Lord knows I'm a believer. It won't be easy. Don't get peaches and readers without a plane or a train. Sometimes you run to the water. Sometimes you over the tree. Silver linings are so low. I guess it's somewhere between.
Well, where are you going next? I forgot what I put on the calendar. Oh, I look back on the calendar.
I was
I
scouting and
always
the sun is setting early. You learn to make the most of your day. Yakking on the weather till you book across the frozen bay. Lord knows I'm a believer. It won't begin to the end. Don't get peaches and clear without a plane or a train.
I wasn't there. Yeah, where do you live now? I live in Boston.
Time to over the tree. Silver linings are so
Okay.
I guess it's somewhere between.
We've been working really hard every week. We're coming from every Tuesday. I don't know where they got all these pictures from. There were lots of pictures. I don't know where they were. So they're
Once the ends are showing you a line in the
right
sand.
on a picture.
You walk the shorelines at the sea of the land.
Scanning
You want to
the
make it
pictures
simple.
and
You
trying
want
to
to
put
spend
more and
the
more
night.
pictures up on the wall and frame.
Dive into the water, then you feel wash and wash away. Lord knows I'm a believer. It won't be in the end. Don't get peaches without a plane or a train. I'll be over the tree.
Hey, a lot of people work too. Right. We're lucky to have those jobs all over the country.
Well, it's nice seeing you. I don't know when the next
Well, I know where we're going. Pizza on the farm.
Oh,
Have you ever been to Pizza on the Farm?
I haven't. Yeah, it's been several years since we went.
Yeah, it's about 2 years ago, I think we were. Maybe 3 ago, I think. So we decided that one of my grandsons, him and his wife, wanted to go there. So now we have 10 people already going.
Well, that's good. They say they got music now.
Yes. And I hope they have some. I know they have some tonight. That I saw in the city tonight. So I hope they have some next Saturday when we go.
Yeah, music always seems to, I don't know, we used to get her somehow.
Wasn't the picture good on Sunday?
I enjoyed it every day.
They were so good.
Yeah, I thought it was very nice.
And then my brother.
Well, it was so nice to see you again. I don't know.
He's a
I know.
retired pastor. So we
Brother,
come
granddaughter.
but we get together. Yeah.
close to her, we're in that pizza farm. Oh, she said in the barn. We'll have to find where that barn is.
Oh, yeah, there is one out there. I can't tell you exactly how.
Where do you live now?
This is a
We'll
goofy
have
tune.
to look
Goofy
for it.
tune is called Patch the Boat. It's
yeah,
kind
okay,
of kind of feeling gets bored.
You all heard you had to sit over. Now all of a sudden everything is going.
That's good, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. So I have a son in Minneapolis and 2 daughters in Milwaukee. No, I live in where the market is. I live in one of those buildings in there. I sold my house about a year ago. I don't have to show it.
I'm fishing
I know.
one day, my boy man turns to me to say,
Sarasota.
boat and I see a boat now, better get ready, 'cause I can't go. There's the one.
Well, it was I used to go.
Stop for no, you just feel
I've been going down there for, well, Carol and I used to go down there when she was here. I'm going down there by myself.
find the hole when I saw it in the hall, it was very
This may be the last one.
where he cast it up on the floor, it was sweet bad, not off on shore. Milky water, you know you never gonna say it.
No, it was here.
Later now, please just say this hole's getting wider, better get surprised, babe. Surely fight, so I tell her today, there's no need to worry, I'll push what you can pay. Just bail the water, catch your boat. You know you never want to stay away. Your arms get tired, don't you stop, oh no, you just bail the water, don't catch your boat. Thought you were going to living my life happy as can be. And what I wanted, that much I can say. Sleeping with the bitches that love the baby. Cause they all the water, they catch the boat. And I know I never really stayed. Tired, it's stop. Oh no, they all the water, they catch the boat. They all the water, they catch the boat. And I know we never really stayed. Runs keep tired, don't stop. Oh no, you just stay in the water, don't catch the boat. Catch the boat. And that CD over there for a long time. Oh, yeah. I'm just having fun with the radio. Jimmy Buffett. Trying to live life and give her his habits. Lady number 78, losing weight without speeding, some power seats. Train to go out together, and suck it up great, but at night I have these wonderful dreams. Some kind of sensuous dream, not the bikini, fettuccine, or poker with that big warm bun and a huge chunk of meat.
Yes, I do.
Cheeseburger in paradise, heaven on earth with an onion slice. Not too particular, not too precise, so just a cheeseburger in paradise. Heard about the old time sailor man, lady saying thing again and again. Warm beer and bread, they said, your baby said, well, it reminds me of the menu at a holiday. And by the time it's changed, sailors these days, and I'm in port, I get what I need. Not just Havanas or bananas or daffodil fruit, but that American creation on which I feed. Cheeseburger in paradise, medium rare with mustard bean eyes. Heaven on earth with an onion slice. Just say cheeseburger in paradise. I like fun, lettuce and tomato, Heinz 57 French fried potato, big cold pickle and a cold draft beer. Well, good God Almighty, which way do I steer for my cheeseburger in paradise? Making the best of every virtue and vice, worth every damn bit of sacrifice to get a cheeseburger in paradise. Oh yeah, you want to hear that one? It's kind of it's a little edgy, really. It's not too good. Yeah, thank you. Have you heard the news today? Another rabbit man went free. He grabbed himself a kid's meal and went out on a killing spree. We all read the tablets, we all know something's wrong. If anyone says otherwise, they're speaking with the serpent's tongue. I know what I'm gonna do.
I think I have.
I'll change the nation's point of view by raising with my thumb.
Then what do you do with that, right? That's my niece too. I said, no, what? I caught a good one and get rid of them.
Have you heard the
Bigger
news?
ones.
Have you looked up to the sky today and seen the movie sun? I hope I'm only coughing from the ashes in my lungs. Yet here we are rebuilding, are the embers even cold? Somebody ought to pause, or is anyone so cold? I know what I'm gonna do. Regale you with my point of view by working with my thumb. Said I'd be a lawyer, but I hated delivery. I said I'd be a wise man, but couldn't stand. Said I'd get a ballot, but it sat around too long. I said I'd be an activist, but never wrote that song. Yes, I had a scholarship, and yes, my body was young. Yes, I could have thought I had it, well, thing was dumb. Yes, there's other voices, and I could have sang along, but I'm gonna have to change the world by working with my thumb. Have you heard the news today? Enough to type, post, and share. You'll find no satisfaction alleviating from a rocking chair. Everybody's got a gift to calling of our own. I know you meant for more than typing bitter news to a phone. Don't know what you're gonna do, but something makes me think that you might be holding your thumb. Yeah, right here with my thumb. That CD sitting over there. And copper.
What did the two of you do that first year?
Let's go with originals for a bit. I got some more jazzy keyboard stuff. We're using the cheesy organ sound for a minute here.
Remember that?
I don't know if anyone recalls Astrid Gilberto, but she was a pretty sweet musician from Brazil. Pretty popular. I think for a long time she was popular. For a long time ago as well. But she recorded this thing that's a lot. This one is called Summer Samba.
What I do. I read it. Like I was doing that for you. Oh, from work. I'm calling somebody's company. I'm Marianne. The first day she moved in. Somebody said, right, isn't that nice music?
Would be very lucky, someone to love me right. That would be very lucky, someone to take my heart and give his heart to me. Someone who's ready to give up the stars. Oh yes, that would be so nice. If one day I find someone ready to give me something for me, someone to stay with me right around, someone to sing to me a little samba song, someone to take my heart and give their word to me, someone who's ready to give up the start with me. Oh yes, that would be so nice. Should it be you and me, I can see it would be nice. Summer Samba. I know it's hard.
We know where Maryland is now.
Oh, okay. You're advertising.
What do do y'all think? I'll do like one or two
I
more?
never
or-
get to stand by a girl with a
Never,
broken
yeah.
nose very often.
I need to go down.
Yeah. All right, I got one more for y'all. Then. I've been saving it. I've been saving this one.
All right.
All right, so I'm gonna. Oh,
Okay.
more.
I gotta show you all the new pictures.
She went everything around my brain. Too much love drives a man insane. Broke my will, what a thrill. Goodness gracious, straight on the fire. Love, thought it was funny. You came along and moved me, honey. You changed my mind, love is fine. Goodness gracious, straight on the fire. Kiss me, baby. Woo! Feels good. Hold me, baby, yeah. I wanna love you like a love should. You're fine, so kind. I'm gonna tell this world that you're mine. I got my nails in between my thumbs. I'm nervous, but it sure is fun. Come on, baby, you drive me crazy. Goodness gracious, great by your side. Ooh, kiss me, baby. Ooh, feels good. Hold me, baby. Yeah. I wanna love you like should be fine. I'm gonna tell this world that you're mine. I got my nails and I put my thumb. Oh no, just but it sure is fun. Come on, baby, drive me crazy. Goodness gracious, straight on fire. Anytime, great qualifier. I'm going to call it a day. So this is a winding down. Y'all have a great
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
And these people, I
Hope you had fun.
Oh, yeah. I just feel like no one's listening.
I bet you do feel that way, but they were.
Oh,
I was.
Yeah,
Oh, I
can I
want
have them? There's your raises.
You can have those over there, but those other ones I wanted. Okay?
Which one? These?
Yeah, those you can take.
See, I want to tell you, I adore you, and I think everybody loved you. They
Right on,
loved your
okay.
music.
I'm so glad.
And
Yeah.
listen, I think we want to buy some.
Oh, the CDs? Oh, thanks. Yeah, I mean,
Are they all the same?
yeah, they're all. It's all. I've only recorded one. This is my first attempt at that.
So many friends.
Yeah, yeah. You just put or your car. You can play.
Yeah.
I did. Yeah, I've got it right there. I'll leave it. Yeah, I got it on my meal hanging out.
Take some pictures.
You know, TikTok. I like that. But it goes around with that stuff.
Oh, I think somebody else.
Okay, yeah, they're just like $10.
Oh, that's.
Yeah.
It's all ridiculous. Now, can you stay at drinks and beer at home?
Yeah, I did that.
I did.
You know, but there's a dance.
I have this one from our other reunion.
I have, and you know, I haven't been here.
Yeah.
61 was the last one.
Oh, really?
Oh, now what?
Nothing. I thought you were your friend. I thought
Where did she go?
I don't know where she went.
We're losing people.
You know what? I thought this was a wonderful box and look at it all fell out.
Oh.
They're right here, Sharon, don't freak. You told me to collect them and I did. You told me to collect them and I did.
And how is everything?
Amazing.
Yes.
Good.
I get the bill?
Thank you for everything. I hope you enjoyed the party.
Sorry.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Enjoyed it.
I'm really glad. Yeah, it's good to hear.
Yeah, told you they were listening.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if I would like know anything that you guys do. Good. Okay.
So they said, you know, we have short, now they were reading.
Yeah, I had a bit of a rough start. I'm not gonna lie, but-
Oh, sure, yeah, I. Excuse me. Put all of these in here for me if you would.
Yeah, those big pictures.
I see you got your picture
I like
up there.
I do have the class.
You see it?
Yeah, I got, you want them back? Oh, I thought it said date.
Huh? Listen, let me get back.
Oh, I'm glad. There you go.
I'll tell you what, I'll fight them all. Right now I don't.
Was there enough oldies for you?
Just right.
Just right. Okay, good, good.
Yeah. I love that music.
Do you have anything
I
that
love
I
it too. I
could
wish
take
I
that
knew
cable
more. It
on
would be
because
fun
you're
to play
coming
more
over?
of it, but you know, I just wasn't.
No, I
I
don't.
missed the boat.
Dude, you got another
I
side.
sure do.
Yes, there's one in here.
Are you driving back today?
I am, yeah.
How long a drive is that?
About 2.5 hours. It's not too bad.
Oh,
Yeah, I did worse.
how are the roads?
Oh, yeah, very, very nice. It's all, I mean, I take 51 up and it's paved, so it's super. Yeah, and then 2 is also paved, so it's just like.
Oh, drive safe.
Thank you, yeah, you too. I mean, I don't know how far you're going.
I go the other way.
Oh, really? Are you driving today still? Are you driving today already?
No, I'll be driving tomorrow.
Yeah, it's good. It's a little late to start driving today.
Yeah.
You know what, Dorothy, we could probably ask for a, Dorothy, could probably get a to-go container for the cake.
Where did I put all the checks?
What? What?
I had all the checks. Oh, you're there. Oh, oh,
You don't have any of the big ones? Here, is this yours?
no, that you have that
Get her
one.
full hour.
So those are mine. Oh, yeah, some of I thought you didn't have those.
Go get your flowers. What do you need to have enough?
Go ahead and take the sign. See,
Yeah, okay, I did
so
see
you're
that.
gonna take the letter.
But I thought you were saying you could take.
Did you get enough money?
Take care, Frank.
You got paid still now?
Ah,
Do you have paid now?
yeah. Who's that lady?
Well, right, before you are.
You have enough?
I'll put that back in.
I just asked her to.
Let's see. Oh, you've still got some people watching here. Well, thank y'all for joining in. And Frank, I hope that you had a good time kind of watching the reunion from afar. But oh, I gotta look down here. But yeah, I hope y'all had a great time, and I really enjoyed playing. And I will see y'all around town.